Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you're doing well. So, I welcome you again to your psychology class, and we are doing chapter number 2, that is self and personality. This is part 11 of this chapter, and if you have not seen the previous parts, you can check the link in the description box. In this part, we'll study about the cultural and the humanistic approaches to study personality. So let's start with the first approach, that is the cultural approach to study human personality. The cultural approach attempts to understand personality in relation to the features of ecological and cultural environment. It proposes that a group's economic maintenance system plays a vital role in the origin of cultural and behavioral variations. It means that the cultural approach studies the effect of ecology and culture on the personality of individuals. It proposes that a group's economic maintenance system plays a vital role in the origin of cultural and behavioral variations. Now, economic maintenance system means economic activities, settlement patterns, social structures, division of labor, and other features like child rearing practices. They play an important role in the origin of cultural and behavioral variations, means they affect the personality of an individual. And rituals, ceremonies, religious practices, arts, recreational activities, games, and plays are the means through which people's personality gets projected in a culture. And people develop various personality qualities in an attempt to adapt to their ecological and cultural features of a group's life. So, the personality, according to the cultural approach, is an adaptation of individuals or groups to the demands of their ecology and culture. So, let's try to understand these aspects with a concrete example. As you all know, that a good proportion of the world's population, even today, lives in forests and mountainous regions, with hunting and gathering as their primary means of livelihood. And one such example is a tribal group of Jharkhand, that is the Birhor tribal group, which represent such a population. And most of the people from the Birhor tribal group live a nomadic life. Now, nomadic life means moving from one place to another in search of food. And in the Birhor society, children from an early age are allowed enormous freedom to move into forests and learn hunting and gathering skills. Means it's their culture to make their children independent at an early age. Okay, and their child socialization practices are also aimed at making children independent, autonomous, and achievement oriented from an early age of life. So this is one of the example from where you can understand the effect of culture on the personality of a person. Means it is their culture, it is the culture of the Birhor tribal group that they allow their children enormous freedom at an early age. They teach their children the skill of hunting and gathering at an early age. Okay, so their personality come out to be like that only. They learn all these skills at an early age. Okay. So now let's move on to the next and the last approach of understanding personality, that is humanistic approach. Humanistic psychology or humanistic approach is a perspective that emphasizes looking at the whole individual and stresses on the concepts such as free will, self efficacy, and self actualization. And humanistic psychology, which is also often referred to as humanism, emerged during the 1960s as a reaction to the psychoanalysis and behaviorism that dominated psychology at that time. And the early development of humanistic psychology was heavily influenced by the works of a few key theorists, especially Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. So, we will briefly examine their theories one by one. So, first of all, we will start with Carl Rogers. And Carl Rogers was a prominent psychologist and one of the founding members of the humanistic movement. And along with Abraham Maslow, he focused on the growth potential of healthy individuals and greatly contributed to our understanding of the self and personality. Actually, Rogers' theory grew out of his experiences of listening to his patients in his clinic, and he noted that self was an important element in the experience of his clients. And this theory is structured around the concept of self. And the most important idea proposed by Rogers is that of a fully functioning person. He believes that fulfillment is the motivating force for personality development, and people try to express the capabilities, potentials, and talents to the fullest extent possible. And there's an inborn tendency among persons that directs them to actualize their inherited nature. Rogers makes two basic assumptions about human behavior. One is that the behavior is goal directed and worthwhile, and the second is that people who are innately good, innately means by birth. Alright, people who are innately good will almost always choose adaptive, self actualizing behavior. And Rogers further divided the self into two categories. One is the ideal self, and the other is the real self. The ideal self is the person that you would like to be, and the real self is the person you actually are. Okay, and Rogers focused on the idea that we need to achieve consistency between these two selves, and discrepancy between these two selves, that is the real self and the ideal self, often results in unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Discrepancy means irregularity or variation or inconsistency. Okay. Rogers views personality development as a continuous process. It involves learning to evaluate oneself and mastering the process of self actualization. He recognizes the role of social influences in the development of self concept. When social conditions are positive, the self concept and self esteem are high. In contrast, when the conditions are negative, your self concept and your self esteem will be low. And people with high self concept and self esteem are generally flexible and open to new experiences so that they can continue to grow and self actualize. And in the development of the self concept, Rogers raised the importance of unconditional positive regard. Unconditional positive regard means unconditional love. And people who are raised in an environment of unconditional positive regard, in which no preconceived conditions of worth are present, have the opportunity to fully actualize. Okay. And in contrast, when people are raised in an environment of conditional positive regard, in which worth and love are only given under certain conditions, they must match or achieve those conditions in order to receive the love or positive regard they want. And Rogers' client centered therapy basically attempts to create this condition of unconditional positive regard. And now, the next humanistic psychologist about whom we will talk about is Abraham Maslow. And you are already familiar with the hierarchy of needs propounded by Maslow from your study of motivation in class 11th. Maslow has given a detailed account of psychologically healthy people in terms of their attainment of self actualization. Now, self actualization means a person's basic instinct to succeed at his or her highest possible capacity. And if you remember, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a motivational theory in psychology comprising a 5-tier model of human needs, often depicted as hierarchical levels within a pyramid. And needs lower down in the hierarchy must be satisfied before individuals can attend to the needs higher up. From the bottom of the hierarchy upwards, the needs are physiological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self actualization. So, this was all about the humanistic approach to study personality. And one of the major strengths of the humanistic psychology or humanistic approach is that it emphasizes the role of the individual. This approach of understanding personality gives people more credit in controlling and determining their state of mental health. Another important strength of this approach is that it considers the effect of environment on the personality of an individual. Rather than focusing only on our internal thoughts and desires, humanistic psychology or humanistic approach considers the environment's influence on our experiences. On the other hand, one of the major criticism of this approach is that it is too subjective in nature. Can we objectively tell if someone is self-actualized? No. The answer, of course, is that we cannot. Actually, the importance of individual experience makes it difficult to objectively study and measure humanistic phenomena. And another major criticism is that observations are unverifiable. There is no accurate way to measure or quantify these qualities. So, this was all about the cultural and the humanistic approaches to study personality. And I hope you have understood everything. So, this is all for today, and we'll meet once again in a new video with a new topic. Till then, take care, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.